we are going to do some quick notes on kites. And then we have the quadrilateral split book, which is right here. And you'll be putting this together. And you can choose to do whatever you want to do, but you turn the pages, there's easy stuff to fill out. All of this comes from your notes. I would recommend going through your notes and writing down opposite angles are congruent, is a good thing to remember. And, the more times you write it, you might have a chance of remembering it. There's also plenty of extra space and the back for whatever you need to write down. You're allowed to use this flip book on test day, okay? So when you're doing your Delta Math review, whatever you need to write down to help you on test day is a good thing, okay? Write it down, write an example down, write down those problems from the review, and you'll be solid for your test on Thursday. So I would recommend today, this flip book is not going to be graded, but you get to use it on your test, okay? The review is available now in Delta Math, okay? And it is a grade, as always, okay? And it is also the test. All the problems that you see on the review, you'll see again on test day, okay? With different numbers, but that's, there. Same format. All right, so let's look at some kite stuff real fast. All right, this is 7.5 day 2. We're talking about kites. So here we have an example of a kite. This is the traditional kite, like let's go fly a kite kind of kite. And you can see what it has. They've labeled some of the congruent things here. Is it part of the parallelograms? No. It does not have any parallel sides. So it is not part of parallelograms. It is a simple quadrilateral, a special kind of quadrilateral. So what does it have? It has two consecutive congruent sides, two pairs. So you can see AB and AD. Consecutive means one after the other. And so we have consecutive congruent sides. And then BC and CD are also congruent. It also has one pair of opposite angles that are congruent. So when you look at this kite, which angles are congruent? Okay, so angle B, big angle B, very good, and big angle D. So those large angles between the congruent sides are congruent. Now, we also have some diagonals. You can see in the picture the diagonals are perpendicular, so that's a good thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw in this diagonal. From A to C, I've drawn in that diagonal. Now when I look, do you see two triangles? Yeah. Okay. They are the same as in they are congruent? Yeah. Why are they congruent? How?
Well, they both share point E, or angle E, I should say.
So, but we have to look at the triangle as a whole, the whole top triangle.
They also share its side angle side.
Side angle side. Very good. So you can see they both have a pair of sides. They both have pairs of congruent angles, and then they both have that another pair of congruent sides. So these two triangles have side angle side congruence. And that's an important thing to think about. If you can understand where triangles are congruent, you learn more information. So not only do we have these congruent sides and those angle B and D that are congruent, but if these two triangles are congruent, what about this little baby angle right here, angle BAE?
It's congruent to angle
DAC, yeah, so it's congruent to the lower one. Again, those two little babies are congruent, which means this diagonal is bisecting angle A. Again, we think about reflections. If you take this top triangle and just flip it over that pink line, those two angles line up perfectly. They're exactly congruent. What other angles are congruent? We already know that one. What else? Yeah, the little C, yeah. Little baby C. Again, those two little angles on the tail are congruent as well. Now, you can imagine that if we do the same thing with this diagonal, which I'm going to do in purple, BD. Now, once again, just looking at, well, we can look at either pair of triangles, but I'm just going to look at these little guys here. So looking at those two little triangles, are those two little triangles congruent? Yeah, and again, we can look and we see we have a pair of sides. We got the orange angle, and this side AE is in both triangles. And so these two triangles are congruent as well, which means this tiny angle D here is congruent to that little tiny B over here. So there's tons of congruent things, okay? So lots of things are congruent in these kites. So let's look at number 2. Each quadrilateral below is a kite. So when we look at number 2, ladies, what should I mark in this picture to help me out? J and L, yeah, J and L are congruent. Those opposite angles are congruent. KJ and KL are congruent. JM and ML are the same length, but the angle is what matters. It won't be necessary. L is 82. What's J? Also 82. Good. So angle J is 82 degrees. How are we going to figure out the measure of angle K? Subtract it from 180. Is 180 the right number?
No, because there's two triangles, right?
So it'd be 360. Very good. So again, thinking about how many degrees does a shape have? If I have a quadrilateral, you can split it into two triangles. Each triangle is 180 degrees. So how many degrees does a quadrilateral have? 360 degrees. So to find angle K here, we're going to take 360 degrees, subtract 82, and subtract 82, and subtract 71. And that gives me 125. So a quadrilateral four-sided figure is going to have a total of 360 degrees. Be careful. Okay. Let's look at number 4. On number 4, we have this little tiny baby angle D here is 59. What else do you know? DEH is 50, or did you mean HDE? That little guy there is also 59. Okay. So below and above, both 59. We want GDE. GDE is the total, the whole angle. What do we get? 118. 59 times 2 is 118 degrees. 59 plus the other 59. All right. DEH. DEH is this little angle right up here. How are we going to figure out that little angle? 90. I heard a 90. So yeah, we do have a right angle in here. Those diagonals are perpendicular from 180. So again, we have this little triangle. So 180 minus 90 minus 59, and that equals 31 degrees. So that orange angle is 31 degrees. DGH is down here. What's that little angle? Also 31. It does not mean that. So this angle HEF, we don't know what that is. These two are not congruent. They don't look it either. Yeah. Good question. All right, let's look at number 8. Numero ocho. Here we go. AC is the whole diagonal. What do you suppose we want to do with that 38?
Split it in half.
Split it in half. So each piece of the diagonal is 19. Now, it didn't tell us, Gina didn't tell us that those segments were congruent. How do we know that? Gina's who wrote this paper. Okay, it is like a reflection. It is a mirror image. This upper triangle, if you flip it over, they do land on, we know those triangles are congruent, so their heights would be congruent as well. So good thinking. ED is 41, and we want to find CD. I don't want to figure out this distance, so I'm going to just call it X. What should we do? Pythagorean theorem. Wow, look at that cool response. That was awesome. We do have a right angle in there, so we're going to do leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Very important you get the hypotenuse opposite that right angle. What is 19 squared plus 41 squared? 2042. I love it. 2042. And then we need to do what? Square root both sides. 45.2. Beautiful. All right, any questions so far? Okay, this is pretty easy. I think you guys have really got the hang of all of this. All right, let's turn the page. We're going to do a few more, burn through a couple more. Real fast, we're not going to solve. We're just going to set them up. Starting with number 12. Number 12, tell me about this kite. What's interesting? They're congruent. Angle N is congruent to angle L, which means, what's my equation going to be? 8x minus 31. 5x plus 23 is equal to, those angles are congruent, 8x minus 31. Great, you could go from there, I'm sure. Let's look at 13. Number 13. What information do we need to add to our little kite here? Another 109. Angle B is also 109 degrees.
We do 109 plus 109 and plus 5x plus 14 and 3x plus 8 equals 360 degrees. Very good. This is a quadrilateral, so we know all four angles add up to be 360 degrees. So 109 plus 109 plus 5x plus 14 plus 3x plus 8 all add to equal 360 degrees. All the angles add to be 360. Good. And you can go from there. We're done. I'm not going to do any more. Let's look at number 14. We want to find the measure of angle STV. Oh, that's this little guy. What are we going to do to figure out the value of x, though?
180 equals 90 plus 9x plus 1 plus 23x.
Very good. Yeah, we do see a little triangle right here. So we can add these three angles, 90 plus 9x plus 1 plus 23x minus 7 equals 180 degrees, because that's our little triangle. We would solve for x then. How are we going to figure out this angle, though, STV? It's the same as that. Very good. That little VRS right here. Those two are the same. Very good. All right. Last one, 15. What do we know about these kites? They are. Those two little angles are congruent. Very good. So again, 5x minus 1 is equal to 2x plus 11, because we do have congruent triangles there. Very easy to see once you know they're congruent. All right, you got questions for me? Okay, fabulous. We're going to look at that flip book now.